Hello, am I audible, sir?
Yes, yes, yes. Audible now.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right. So first of all, thank you so much, Kiran sir, for joining us tonight, for agreeing to talk to us and help us in learning more about the stock market. Very exciting day. I am really looking forward to it. मैं थोड़ी देर पहले भी सर को मैंने मैसेज किया था कि I'm really excited to learn from you, sir. And I actually am. सर बहुत बार आपको देखा है टीवी पे भी ट्विटर पे भी एंड बहुत कुछ आपसे वैसे सीखा है अभी फर्स्ट टाइम वी हैव अ चांस टू लर्न फ्रॉम यू बिल्कुल live on the stage. So before we actually get into the meat of the thing and get to know more about you, thoda sa, can we have a brief analysis about the market from you? What's going on according to you? Are we in the bear phase now? 2 दिन से काफी बुरी तरीके से गिरा था मार्केट आज कुछ फ्लैटिश था गैप डाउन में खुला एंड देन थोड़ा सा बढ़ के रुक गया व्हाट डू यू थिंक इज हैपनिंग इन द मार्केट सर
Well, very good evening to all of you, and it's wonderful to be here talking to all of you all. And starting with the markets, I believe that the markets are it's the beginning of the next big bull run that we are talking about. So from March 2020, we have seen after the COVID thing got over, we saw a huge rally, and after which from October last year we have gone into a consolidation phase, which I call it as a wave number two. So now markets move always in waves, and this wave number two will end when we have a close above 18,000 after this big correction of almost 8 9 months. So I'm waiting for this 18,000 to be taken out, and that will be the beginning of the next big bull run. So the wave number three will start, and which will have huge kind of potential for the common to make money.
राइट राइट एंड सर सो जो 2 दिन का अभी करेक्शन जो आया है डू यू थिंक द एक्सटर्नल फैक्टर्स जो ब्रॉडर मार्केट्स में भी ये चीज जो देखी गई है दे आर आल्सो अफेक्टिंग इट और डू यू जो यूएस का भी इन्फ्लेशन का फेड ने कुछ हाइक किया इन्फ्लेशन की वजह से दोबारा से पहले काफी सारे जो पहले के करेक्शंस आ रहे थे उसमें काफी सारे फियर्स थे हाउ मेनी ऑफ दोज फियर्स मतलब पहले तो वॉर भी थी चाइना का भी इशू था यूएस इन्फ्लेशन भी था आरबीआई भी हाइक कर रहा था how many of those fears जो पहले कहे जा रहे थे have been addressed now maybe
See, the question itself has an answer, is what I believe. हाँ, आपने मुझे पूछा कि ये सारे फैक्टर्स बिल्ट इन है या नहीं है. यू आस्क एनी कॉमन इन्वेस्टर नाउ डेज एंड यूल गेट ओनली वन आंसर. अरे वो इन्फ्लेशन बहुत चल रहा है, इंटरेस्ट रेट्स बढ़ रहे हैं, यूक्रेन रशिया का वॉर चालू है, उधर चाइना और ताइवान में टेंशन्स खड़े हुए हैं, इंटरेस्ट रेट्स बढ़ रहे हैं. सो ऑल दीज क्वेश्चंस are known to the investors, and after knowing these hurdles, the market is moving up, which means the common investors have sold out, the intelligent investors have built in their positions, which also means that we are ready for the next big up move. And ये हमेशा होता है, ये आज नहीं हुआ है. अभी जब कोविड आया था 2020 में, मार्च में डिक्लेयर हुआ कि कोविड है एंड लॉकडाउन लग गया. तो आई थिंक आपने सबने देखा होगा कि द मार्केट्स में जो करेक्शन आया वो 3 4 महीने चला, और उसके बाद जब उसकी कोविड की गहराई देखने को मिली, तब मार्केट्स ने बॉटम आउट कर दिया था, एंड द मार्केट स्टार्टेड मूविंग अप. Same happened about 2 months, जब रशिया यूक्रेन हुआ, मार्केट्स करेक्टेड, पर जैसे वॉर 4 5 दिन चालू हो गया, द मार्केट स्टार्टेड मूविंग अप अगेन. सो दैट इज एग्जैक्टली व्हाट हैपेंस, कि जब फियर बहुत ज्यादा हो जाता है, तो पहले 4 दिन तो मार्केट नीचे आता है. चार यानी चार नहीं, आई एम जस्ट टॉकिंग अबाउट a few days that the market goes down, after which the bulls take over because the news is actually known to the common investors. तो अभी अभी बेचने का टाइम नहीं है. सो the answer to your question is, ये जो बाकी के fear factors जिसके बारे में आपने बात की, they are all built in, and I feel that the markets are already proven. Technically, as said, 18,000 is a barrier. 18,000 के ऊपर the markets will start moving up. And to be very honest, on our Telegram channel today itself, I gave a buy call because 18,000 से नीचे जो correction आना था वो हो चुका है, और अभी अगस्त के एक्सपायरी 2 दिन में है। तो डेरिवेटिव डेटा, पीसीआर, सब बेसिक रुझान देखने के लिए मिलेगा, ऐसा मेरा मानना है। एंड दैट्स द रीजन व्हाई वी आर लॉन्ग ऑन द निफ्टी राइट नाउ विद अ माइनर स्टॉप लॉस। तो स्टॉप लॉस भी हिट हो जाता है एक दो बार तो चलेगा, बट आई वांट टू बी इन दिस अप मूव द अर्लीस्ट एज पॉसिबल।
Right, right. Awesome, awesome, sir. सर अनदर थिंग आई वांट टू आस्क इज, जब भी थोड़ा बहुत भी अगर जैसे अभी तो छोटा ही करेक्शन का है, बट जब भी आता है तो देर आर सेक्टोरल हेडविंड्स एंड एज ऑफ नाउ तीन सेक्टर्स। सो फर्स्ट आई वांट टू आस्क, देर आर टू पार्ट्स टू दिस क्वेश्चन। वन इज सम सेक्टर्स दैट मे बी यू आर लुकिंग आउट फॉर कि अभी जो नेक्स्ट आने वाली रैली में विच मे लीड देम, एंड विच सेक्टर्स विच देर मे बी सम सेक्टर्स जिनसे कि मे बी अवॉइड करना चाहिए बिकॉज दे मे बी लुकिंग वीक। So पहला question around this है, and then I have specifically three sectors which I want to ask about. But पहले मैं आपका भी जानना चाहूंगा, any sectors that you are looking out for or avoiding maybe going forward.
आई थिंक इन जनरल अगर देखा जाए तो द ऑटो सेक्टर इज डूइंग रियली वेल, एंड ऑटो ancillaries will continue to move ahead. Another thing that we should look at is the energy sector, the power sector as such. So that is one that is going to keeping up. And the third would be consumption. So consumption, India growth story hai, the population story hai. So consumption is something that will keep making money in the for the next decade or so. इसके साथ साथ the financials and the banking has to be there. So these are the four sectors largely that you should be looking at for now. But however, what is important for every investor to know that one sector will rest, then the next sector will start moving up. When the second sector start moving up, the sector is resting, the third starts moving, and there is a cycle between these sectors. So automatically, what happens? You will get a broad-based rally. However, there will be sector rotations, stock rotations that keep happening. And then a fourth sector, which you and I can't think of, can also come into play in the days to come.
Right, right. Awesome, awesome. Sir, मेरे तीन में से दो तो आपने already cover कर ही दिए. So I wanted to know auto and energy and power in general because they have been actually doing well, lately. They've been doing really well. Another sector I really wanted to discuss sir was IT sector, जो बहुत कोविड के टाइम में बहुत रन दिया एंड देन अभी कुछ टाइम थक गया था. बट अभी कुछ लोगों का मानना है कि बॉटम आउट कर गया है, बट एट द सेम टाइम देयर आर लॉट ऑफ पीपल हु आर सेइंग कि नहीं अभी आईटी अभी भी काफी वीक है. आई वुड लव टू नो योर थॉट्स ऑन इट सर.
आईटी वीक नहीं है। ओके, वी रियली नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड निफ्टी आईटी के बारे में बात करें तो बेसिकली निफ्टी आईटी विल बी अ मार्केट परफॉर्मर फॉर नाउ. So it was if I'm looking at the index as such from almost December January 21, we have seen a lower top lower bottom scenario. Now in the recent past, June and July, we had the index is making had made a what do you say a bottom formation. So base building formation had been made, and then we saw a breakout of it at around 28,500. After which we crossed at 30,000, and we are coming back to retest that important support, which would be at 28,500. So 28,500, 100 points here and there would broadly be a very good area to buy in IT stocks with a say a year 2 year view, because when the other sectors are performing, this sector would be one sector which would basically be sideways and market outperforming, and then the money will roll in this sector, and then this sector will start moving up. Having said all of this, the breakout point for the IT sector is at around 30,550. So a move above 30,550 will trigger the next buy move. So for a common investors, it is always ROI, return on investment. So for people for technical analyst people, it is very important that the money should be parked um, for the least amount of time, and the return should be on the higher side. So I would put my money on the IT sector only when this level is crossed. We'll see fireworks in this sector, and my target for the next maybe 6 to 7 months would be around 36,000 on the lower side. We are trading at around 28,900, so we can take safely say we are trading at around 30,000. So from 30,000 to 36,000 would be a rally in the next 6 to 7 months.
Right. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much for that analysis, sir. Sir, I have a lot of questions, but before we go, मतलब ये तो थोड़ा market की बात हो गई. Now, next phase, next segment of our podcast tonight, I really want to get to know you, sir. And सबसे पहले, if you could give us a little bit brief about how did you get into the stock markets? कैसे आपकी शुरुआत हुई and how did you come to be here at this place tonight, like at this big stage where everybody looks up to you and wants to learn from you?
It's a big story. Cannot cut that short. But however, I'll just brief it. Basically, stock market mein aana, it was maybe destined because I was never, none of our family members, my parents or my grandparents never invested in stock markets. The only investment that we knew was Indira Vikas Patra, which doubled our money in say 5.5 years. And when I was doing my graduation, one of my friends, he used to get money to college, and then he used to ask me to go to the bank to deposit this money. And every 2 3 months he used to get 10,000 rupees. In those days, way back in 1990, 10,000 was a huge amount. And I was really surprised. Every 2 3 months he's getting 10,000 to be deposited in the bank. So I asked him ki kya hai, and he said I invest in initial public offers, IPOs. So I didn't know what IPO was as well. So and he said, तो I asked him कि इसका क्या होता है? So he said in 3 months. I was zapped. मैंने कहा 3 महीने में पैसा डबल होता है, मेरे पेरेंट्स बोलते हैं 5.5 साल लगते हैं. So it was really difficult. And then I asked more about it, and he supposedly he didn't know anything about it. So he took me to his parents, and then his father told me कि वो आईपीओ में करना पड़ता है, स्टॉक मार्केट ऐसा कुछ होता है. And all this was briefed to me, and then I went to my parents and asked for some money. I was lucky to be granted that 10,000 rupees to be invested. And I got my initial public offers, and which not only doubled it, more than 6 times, 7 times returns is what I got in my first few IPOs. So then I was very excited. And just to have the icing on the cake, it was a Harsha Mehta period in 1992, which actually took me to the stock market, because wherever I invested, my money just grew. And finally, for an investor, making money is very important, and that got me attracted towards the stock market. So that's the brief out of it. ACC was one stock which I had purchased at around 250 rupees, which I sold luckily at around 9,000 plus. So it was around 10,000, 10,200 is where I remember to be selling off ACC. And not because the stock prices rallied, but my broker told me that I had to exit. So the money made by me was humongous. So automatically this got my attention, and I got interested in the stock markets. And later on, it was really hard work, uh, consistency, discipline that my parents got into me from my childhood, which actually helped me in these last 20 25 years.
Right, right. And so that is how the initial journey began, sir. May I also know if you can tell us some moments, maybe जो सबसे critical थे आपकी journey, maybe it may be the biggest learning you got, maybe the biggest loss you made that taught you the most, or maybe a biggest moment जो आपका सबसे बड़ा success रहा, and that you're still proud of. Some critical moments in this journey.
See, I'll tell you, when I started this career, I didn't know what to do. So I had met a person who used to be a broker in the Pune Stock Exchange, and he guided me to that, you should do some analysis. You should understand the stock market before you invest, because I had made money through him itself. So the first book that I picked up was technical analysis book, and that's the reason why maybe that I became a technical analyst. So I kept on reading a lot, and through readings I understood what is technical analysis, and then I altered the original theory of technical analysis. I went into huge losses because of the original theory that I was following. uh, so even today, I clearly mentioned to everyone who wants to enter the stock market that you should learn the altered theory of technical analysis. The original theory of technical analysis is of no use. The reason being, I'll take this opportunity to just ponder upon this point. Is the original theory was written way back in 1900s, right? The Dow theory. Now, the era of 1900s and the era of 2000 is completely different. It is 120 years past the theory that which was evolved. So the era then, the markets then, the communication today. Today we are in jet age. News spreads faster. So you need to adapt to these changes to point out your entry and exit. So if you cannot do that, then you are going to be a catalyst for the person who is going to make money. So I think every investor would want to enter first and exit first, because then that is where he would gain the maximum. So it is very important for us to understand this. So what happened when I was doing this, when I was constructing this altered theory? The first time I actually made a big I didn't make a loss, but there was a huge loss of opportunity in the year 2021. Sorry, 2001. So, 2001, we were in the tech boom and the markets were just rallying. I had purchased HFCL, Himachal Futuristic, and the stock was moving up every other day with circuits. And when the stock started falling down, I understood that it has taken a U-turn because it had done a trend reversal price pattern called head and shoulders, and the price was going down. So, according to theory, you have to follow your trailing stop loss. And the first 2 days, the stock really came down, and then we had a pullback rally. In this pullback rally, I saw my profits, which I had a short position, and the profits were shrinking because the market was into a pullback rally. And due to fear, I cut my positions, and then the stock from say 800 rupees fell down to less than 300 rupees, and then later on it was 20 rupees as well. So I lost a huge opportunity of making money, and this opportunity did not come back to me, and it came back to me way back after 8 years in the year 2008 when I had gone short in Satyam. I remembered what mistake I had done in HFCL in the year 2001. So I decided not to make a mistake, and a windfall profit was made by me because of the theory that we had learned. So even in the falling markets, we can make huge money was the lesson which I had missed in the year 2001, which I again made sure that it happens. I mean, the mistake is not repeated in the next bear run, which was in the year 2008. So it is important for any investor to understand the trends, the waves, and to ensure that you stick down to your trend to make a lot of money.
Right. Brilliant, sir. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, sir. सर थोड़ा बहुत तो हम लोगों को आइडिया आपके सेटअप का आपने दिया ही इस डिस्क्रिप्शन में बट कैन वी नो अ
Mhm.
लिटिल बिट मोर अबाउट some of your favorite setups, your strategy or your philosophy of investing?
See, most of the analysts would look at indicators and oscillators. I'm completely different. I don't look at any indicator nor oscillator because I believe that, and it is a very belief, and time has been pretty kind enough to make people and myself understand and reiterate that this theory has not gone wrong. So I don't look at any indicators or oscillators. I look at the price and the volumes. Basically, that tells me the strength within that stock. And this price is evolved from the price patterns. The price pattern is the most primary thing that I look at. Simple. So when I get a price pattern breakout, that is the time when I enter with a minimal stop loss, the minimum possible stop loss. And my targets are maximum, and then I keep trailing them. And my setup is 1:3. My risk to reward ratio, if I have to enter, has to be 1 is to 3. If it is less than 3, I don't put my money. That is the first and the foremost. Second thing, I what I want always is with the risk to reward ratio is the money management. If you can't have if you don't have a money management strategy with you, then no doubt your strategy is good, but then you would be putting more money on one stock, less money on some other stock, which means that the strategy goes for a toss because there is no money management strategy. And I'm very firm with whatever I say. I have always said that my strike rate will be at around 60 to 70% only. However, with 60-70% strike rate, the money made is more important. It is not the strike rate. So I am going to go wrong many times, but whenever I go wrong, I have to exit with the least possible loss. When I'm right, I want on the profits. That's the mantra of success. And this is something that all investors should really understand, Vishnu.
Absolutely, sir. In fact, sir, this was going to be my next question actually. I think
Mhm.
entry बहुत लोग identify कर लेते हैं, लेकिन exit is something that even after years people are not able to figure out. I would love to know how do you set your targets if you do, and how do you decide कि आपका stop loss कैसे होगा? Is it stock specific? Is it market specific? या आपका एक fixed stop loss रखते हो आप? या कैसे? How do you decide कि okay, this trade is not working for me, I have to get out?
Vishu, a very good question. I should appreciate that this question came up. See, please understand what is more important is always the money management, the risk management, and the risk to reward ratio, which we just mentioned. However, what more needs to be looked at is the strike rate along with this strategy. Correct? So Chakravyu, Abhimanyu could enter into the Chakravyu but could not exit, right? So same is the case with all the investors. किसी ने कोई बोला ये stock लो, they are very fast in buying, but they cannot exit. So you need to have an exit strategy. Now this exit strategy will depend on which wave we are into. If you're in the first wave, you know that the markets are going to move up very high. So I will use my moving averages to ensure I move out at the right time when they give a negative crossover. I have a particular set of moving averages which I keep looking at, and when they give a negative crossover in the first wave, third wave, and the fifth wave, I make the maximum. In the second and fourth wave, what really happens is you keep entering and exiting, and these two waves create a lot of frustration amongst the investors. And for an investor to really understand all the uh, small integrities of the stock market, he needs to really look at one bull market and one bear market as a whole, which would take a decade time. And then he'll really understand what I mean over here. So, in the first wave, and third wave, and fifth wave, you actually tend to make a huge amount of money. But because people don't understand that we are in the second wave and the fourth wave, people disbelieve in this theory and being impatient move out of the stock markets because some of the stop losses have triggered. So understanding the market in the whole perspective is more important, and once the whole perspective is known, you will understand how to trail a stop loss. So trail there are several methods of trailing a stop loss. One could be with percentages, one could be with the candlestick patterns, but I believe in a simple auto trend line, which is the moving average line. That auto trend line would help me keep in the markets till the time the trend stays, and when the trend changes, automatically it will ask me to book my profit.
Right, right. Perfect, sir. Perfect. Sir, मेरे पास तो और बहुत सारे questions हैं which I'll get to, but I had actually pinned a tweet in this space asking our audience to
Mhm.
ask their questions as well. So if you allow, can I take some questions from them?
Sure, sure.
Okay, awesome. So पहला question sir वरुण जैन sir की तरफ से है and he is asked what is your view about hospitality industry, especially about Indian hotels in 2 to 3 months?
See, Varunji, Indian Hotels is very good as such, chart as such. I think you need to remain invested in that. So I'll just pull up the chart. Huh. So the chart is superb. I think it is only time that will take the stock up. If you are holding the stock or if you tend to buy it with at least a year or two kind of view. Uh, Currently placed at around 270-75, you can buy right away. Add more if the stock by any chance comes to 250 rupees, but have a long-term view. I think the chart pattern is absolutely superb. It is just near its all-time high. When it crosses 280, it will go into the open blue sky territory, which means there is no resistance. And in a year or two, you will see this 400 plus. So you should remain invested in this counter.
Amazing, sir. Thank you so much for that. Next, sir, Arpit Modi sir हैं. He says he's a big fan and वो MP से सागर city से हैं. And he wants your view on Polyplex and Tata Consumer.
Polyplex, absolutely. We need to keep holding it. See, this stock is particularly is in the wave number two. The first wave took the stock from a level of around 400 to 2800. Now, after such a big rally, obviously the stock needs to take rest. There's nothing wrong, but it will for in the second wave it will frustrate you, but you should not. I believe if at all there is a big correction in the stock, you add more. This time correction could be another 6 months or so on the higher side. Once this time correction is over, it will resume its upward journey. But I believe, seeing currently it's trading at around 2200, you could see the stock say 5000 plus in the next 2 years. So you need to be remain invested in this counter unless the stock really decisively goes down below 1600. So 1600 is a long away stop loss for you, but I don't think it will go below 1600. I think we should consider it between these levels. Now, if you don't have this stock, when to buy is the next buy will be when you have a next price pattern. Today, I cannot tell you when the price pattern breakout would happen, but whenever it happens, this stock will give market outperforming results. Which was the second stock? Tata Consumer, you said, right?
Yes, sir.
Tata Consumer, yes, this too is in wave number two, but I think it's time that I just talked about the consumption story. I think it's time that this stock broke out. Next breakout level be at around 945, 950, sorry, 845, 850 levels. Fresh investors should get into the stock after this fresh breakout happens. And even this stock would be 1300, 1350 once this 850 level is taken out. For those who want to buy fresh, I would recommend to buy only above 850. For those who are holding this counter, continue to hold. My stop loss is pretty below because we are in wave number two. 650 would be my stop loss for long-term investors. For short-term investors, there is no stop loss. Buy only when the next breakout happens.
Great. Awesome. Awesome, sir. नेक्स्ट सर राहुल परमार सर का क्वेश्चन है. उन्होंने आपको जी न्यूज पर देखा था आईईएक्स के बारे में बात करते हुए एंड आपने बताया था कि वो इट्स इन अ लॉन्ग ट्रैप बट वो ही इज राइट नाउ स्टक विद दैट स्टॉक आई थिंक अराउंड 242 के लेवल्स पर. सो ही वांट्स योर व्यू मे बी ऑन दिस.
See, IEX, I'm pretty sure that longs have been trapped, and that is exactly what I said on Z Business as well. However, the next immediate support is at 150. If we close below 150 any day, then this stock would be in a huge problem. At least the upside is capped. For his level of 250, you said, right?
Yes, sir, 242.
242. It is going to take a lot of time for the stock to come to 242. I suggest you for a short term you can keep a stop loss of 8 rupees from current levels. 150 should be a stop loss on day and closing basis, and rebuy the stock once it moves above 180. Above 180, it will give you faster returns rather than holding the stock for the next 6 months and waiting for it to come to 242. I think it's prudent to move out right now. Not now. If it triggers 150, then move out and then put this money in some other stock which would give you a better return. And if the stop loss triggers, the next entry point will be 180 rupees.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for that, sir. सर नेक्स्ट लवनीश सर और मित्तल सर दोनों ने ही बैंकिंग एंड फाइनेंशियल सेक्टर पे आपका पर्सपेक्टिव पूछा है विच यू ऑलरेडी mentioned as bullish, but maybe a little bit more if you can expand on it.
Banking, see, it will continue to outperform. I don't see a banking sector to be bowed down for a long period of time. So there will be corrections, but the banking industry will come back. See, basic funda is for any business, we need banks, and every time a bank transaction happens, they stand out to benefit. You're taking loans from banks. There are so many things where a bank keeps moving up uh, in terms of profitability. And the most important thing is in the last 5 6 years, most of the banks have cleaned up their balance sheets. So that's the fundamental outlook for banks, especially the PSU banks. The private sector banks are doing good, but I think the combination of PSU and the private sector banks will ensure that in the days to come we'll be above 41 400, which was the recent high made in October, November last year. So in the days to come, banking industry will do superb, and every dip has to be followed by buying with a 3 to 4 year view, and maybe the banking index will be 80,000 plus.
Right. Great, sir. Thank you so much for that, sir. Sir, next question is by Nilesh, sir. He wants to know your view on pharma sector.
Pharma sector is one sector which has underperformed and will keep out underperforming. I don't see market outperformance coming back through the pharma sector. So I have very little hopes for now. The even the chart patterns don't suggest a very huge upside in the pharma sector. So I think pharma sector is one sector which we should not look up to, uh, because every person has limited money. I don't want any stock or sector which will always underperform to be a part of my portfolio. I want my money to multiply as faster as possible, and pharma will not do that, is what I feel on the charts. So for now, it's an avoid. So for the last so many months, the index has been underperforming, and it will continue to, is what I feel.
Thank you so much for that, sir. सर नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन हरिथा जी ने पूछा था, उन्होंने पूछा था सर व्हाट इज द ट्रेडिंग स्ट्रैटेजी यूज, तो वो हमने काफी डिस्कस किया. वील रिलीज अ रिकॉर्डिंग ऑफ दिस स्पेस आफ्टर दिस पॉडकास्ट इज ओवर, सो यू कैन मे बी लिसन टू इट इन केस यू हैव मिस्ड इट. नेक्स्ट सर उज्जवल अग्रवाल सर का क्वेश्चन है, प्लीज एडवाइज ऑन एनी टेक्नो फंडा इन्वेस्टमेंट अपॉर्चुनिटीज फॉर 4 to 5 years of investment.
Techno Panda. See, there'll be so many stocks that could be recommended, but I think more or less I've talked about sectors. So I think these are the sectors that you should look up to. And being a SEBI registered analyst, I don't want to speak about any stock as per se. But the sectors that I can talk about sectors for sure, and I've already talked about it, and these are the sectors where your money should be in, and they should give market outperforming results. Now the sectors that I spoke of, you can see for sure which are the leaders in them, and keep investing your money in the first few um, uh, best stocks in that sector, which automatically will give you outperforming results.
Definitely, definitely. Also, like our usual disclaimer that we give, any and all stocks and sectors that we discuss in this space, they are all for just learning and educational purpose. These are not buy and sell recommendations. Please do consult your financial advisor before investing. Right. So, sir, next question, Sanjay ji का था, which is an interesting stock, HAL, जिसने I think काफी strong up moves बीच में दिए. And along with this question, I also kind of want to discuss the defense sector because अभी जो एक rally आई थी, that was kind of led by China and Russia और उनके around जो भी conflicts चल रहे हैं. So, do you think that rally will continue in HAL and in other defense stocks?
Yeah, it will continue, but the pace will reduce for now because we have seen a vertical rally from say 1200 to 2300. Now a stock like Polyplex, which has given multiple dividends during the year, has also stopped performing. And this is the nature of the stock market, or the nature of the price movements. So automatically HAL will also start moving in a sideways zone, which will be healthy for the counter. So if someone has bought it at say 600, 700, 2300 would be a very good area to book profits, because from 2300 to expect it to go to 3200 is asking too much, is what I believe. So this will be a sector which will go into a sideways zone now, correct itself, and then start moving up in the years to come. So with the long term view, I'm pretty sure it is going to move up, but the medium.
Right, right. Thank you so much for that, sir. सर नेक्स्ट हम लोग के पास दो तीन क्वेश्चन हैं अराउंड केमिकल सेक्टर. फॉर इंस्टेंस राज मनीष सर ने नवीन फ्लोरिन पूछा था, हार्दिक पटेल सर ने भी केमिकल सेक्टर के बारे में बोला है. सो डू यू हैव अ व्यू ऑन दैट सर?
Chemical sector will continue to outperform. See, the fundamental story over here is China has basically stopped because of the pollution. They have stopped this industry as such. So automatically, the next best production is from India. So we are going to get a lot of orders from the world, and that's the reason why these chemical stocks have started moving up, which to me, technically, all the stocks are moving up. Navin Fluorine, SRF, you name it, PI Industries and Aarti Industries. There are so many stocks that are looking good on the charts. Navin is one stock which I like personally. A very good chart structure. So, in on the long term basis, my stop loss for this trade will be 3200. Today it is trading at 4200, but from current levels to 3800 would be a strong accumulation recommendation. And I feel Navin Fluorine in the years to come, in the next 6 8 months, should be around 52 5800. And I think the chemical sector is also one sector which I missed out when we talked about sectors. This is also one sector which will continue to outperform.
ग्रेट सर, थैंक यू सो मच फॉर दैट. नेक्स्ट सर मनीष वसंत कामले सर का क्वेश्चन है, हाउ टू लर्न प्राइस पैटर्न एंड ऑल्टर्ड थ्योरी ऑफ टेक्निकल एनालिसिस.
This question, basically you will have to contact our investors helpline number, and altered theory has been written by me, so you'll have to ensure that you attend our workshop to understand what technical analysis is, and graduate from there to understand how to pick stocks at the right time when the breakout happens. So ROI, which is something that I kept speaking of, you will really understand how you end up making huge money. Also, the best part of our workshop is we have money back guarantee, which means if you attend this workshop and if you don't like it, or if you feel you already knew everything, you can just ask for a money back guarantee that we have given on our website. Also, you can visit kiranjadhav.com, where the money back guarantee clause is written. You understand it, and you can attend this workshop for free if you want.
Awesome, awesome, sir. In fact, that was one of the questions from Arpit Modi sir as well. So, how can he take your services? So that is also answered now. Great, sir. Sir, next question, Lalit Ramesh Modi sir ka hai, and he has asked, what is your take on euphoria in the Adani Group stocks?
A lot in the last couple of days has been spoken of Adani Group stocks. They have rallied huge. So we see it is uh, very easy to point fingers at others, but for now the charts are not giving any sell signals for sure. And for now, they have moved up so fast, so quick. Right. I think the way I talked about the other stock some time ago, even this stock for sure should go into some kind of correction or consolidation before it begins its next up move. It is overheated for sure on the chart. So I think this is one counter where you should see some consolidation before it begins its next up move. Uh, and if you have some stocks in your portfolio, it's good that you keep booking profits in quantity, not in full, but in part quantities, so that if there is a fall, you are pretty insulated.
Right, right. Great, sir. Thank you so much for that. Next, sir, Gaurav sir का question था around IT sector. So Gaurav sir, we have discussed that in the space already. We'll release a recording. Maybe you can listen to it after the podcast is over. Next question हमारे पास था just one second. Okay, Subhendra sir, question was a few sectors which can outperform in the 2-3 years going forward. That also we have discussed in the podcast, sir. You can get to it in the recording. Sir, Vaibhav sir ka question is if you have a view on fertilizer sector.
Fertilizer sector for sure is looking good in the long term. See, I'll take a few examples. Fertilizer, it has corrected from a 500 levels to 250, and now it is going into a sideways direction. The best two stocks that I see is GNFC. GNFC also did correct, but I think this is one counter which will outperform the fertilizer industry as such. And with the Russia and Ukraine war going on, I feel this is one sector which will benefit out of it, because most of the uh, fertilizers were produced in Russia, and because of this war, we would be benefiting is what people believe, and that's the reason why we saw a huge kind of upside in the fertilizer sector. So this will continue to move up unless the charts start doing a lower top, lower bottom scenario. The second stock that I like in the fertilizer sector in the FNO section is Coromandel. That is also one counter that you should be looking up. And the third stock in the cash segment would be a Deepak Fertilizer. Already rallied a bit, but I think some corrections because of the market conditions could be opportunities that you should look into.
Right, right. Great, sir. सर नेक्स्ट हम लोग के पास दो तीन क्वेश्चंस आए हैं अराउंड स्टॉक जो कि मतलब एक टाइम पे मीम स्टॉक था, आज भी मीम स्टॉक है, और आई थिंक एक हाथी का पैर है हमारे एनएसई में, विच इज आईटीसी.
Correct. True, true. So the stock has already rallied a bit, and but the long-term charts are still intact. I think from current levels, it has a potential to fall back to 280 worst case scenarios. So from current levels to 280 will be our accumulation zone, 260 stop loss. And I think if you hold on for say another 2 years, you will see the stock above 450 levels. So the big rally has just begun. The first wave has started at around 120, still in its first wave. The second wave will see a correction or a consolidation. Third, fourth, and fifth. So long way to go. I think ITC, which was not performing for the last almost a decade, will give market outperformance in the next decade. So 10 years from now, you'll see huge, huge, huge returns from ITC.
राइट, ब्रिलियंट सर, थैंक यू सो मच फॉर दैट. सर नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन भुवन सर का, एंड आई थिंक काफी इंटरेस्टिंग क्वेश्चन पूछा है भुवन सर ने. uh, उन्होंने पूछा है, बहुत बार ऐसा होता है कि कोई शेयर बढ़ रहा होता है तो सब बोलते हैं कि कंपनी बहुत अच्छी है, लॉन्ग टर्म के लिए इन्वेस्ट करो, उसके बाद वो स्टॉक बढ़ना बंद हो जाता है, एंड जिसकी कोई चर्चा नहीं हो रही होती वो बढ़ने लग जाते हैं, जिसका फंडामेंटल भी अच्छा नहीं होता वो भी बढ़ने लग जाता है, जैसे कि अदानी. नाउ पॉइंट लीविंग अपार्ट द स्टॉक्स जो उन्होंने पॉइंट किए हैं, जैसे पहले आईएक्स का उन्होंने दिया, बाद में अदानी का बोला, बट लीविंग अपार्ट द स्टॉक्स, एक जो पब्लिक ये होता है कि पब्लिक में जो ये मतलब ये दिस इज ऑफन नोटिस कि जब बिल्कुल हर कोई बोलने लगे तो कहते हैं कि वो स्टॉक बेच देना चाहिए, एंड जब जो स्टॉक तब आइडेंटिफाई करना चाहिए जब लोग ना उसको कॉमन मैन ना बोल रहा हो. So, how to stay ahead of this particular phase?
See, what I've learned in all these 28 years of my career in the stock markets is you really need to understand the trends of the market. So if you understand the trends of the market, and there is a saying also, trend is my friend. So if you understand the trend, you'll not be able to buy at the bottom. For example, ITC, I could not buy at 120. I'm 100% sure. But I bought it at 195. So from 120 to 195 is a gestation period. it the stock needs to start making clocking higher tops and higher bottoms, do a trend reversal price pattern. So all this takes time, but when it takes time, I'm 100% sure all those who are listening to this podcast and also see Z business. I was one of the first people last year when at 195 I gave a shouting call at ITC, and that is the time we said this stock is something where every investor should put their money in, because in what has not happened in the last 10 years is going to happen from here on, and that is exactly what we are seeing right now. Today we are at 315, so not a big percentage rally as such, but however, from 200, so round figures from 200 to 300 is still a decent money in the current market scenario. We have stocks stories which have multiplied 10 times, 6 times, and so on and so forth. However, every stock that we need to identify is through price patterns, and that's the reason why this altered theory that I was talking of has immense importance. So, till the time you don't go through this process of this learning curve, you'll never understand this importance. And I don't know, but if I have to buy a simple mobile, I do a lot of research work, isn't it? If I have to buy a vehicle, two wheeler or four wheeler, I do a lot of research. कौन सी गाड़ी लेनी चाहिए, कितने एवरेज देती है, कौन सी मेक की लेनी चाहिए, इसमें क्या क्या है क्या नहीं है, and I continuously look up to things which are very important for me to buy a depreciating asset. And when I'm buying an appreciating asset, supposedly appreciating assets like the stocks, we go by here and say. If you, I'm very serious in whatever I'm saying. That's the reason why, if you look at my company's tagline also, it says, "Padkar, samajhkar, nivesh kar." I don't want you to invest without understanding. You understand the concept. You go through this process. You know what your risks are. You know what your rewards are, minimum rewards are, and that is where your conviction will come into play. And when your conviction comes into play, you end up making huge amount of money. So this is something that is very important.
Right, right. Uh, Brilliant, sir. That's brilliantly put. Sir, questions मेरे पास बहुत 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 सारे आ रहे हैं. But again, we have a limited time and
Hello.
all things have to come to. Hello, am I audible, sir?
Yeah, yeah, you are.
Okay. So I was saying sir questions तो बहुत सारे हैं हमारे पास बहुत सारे questions आ रहे हैं but हमारे पास time limited है first and we
True.
have stuff on time so but before we part if I may ask for a few मतलब maybe a concluding remark a final advice or something to a parting thought for our audience tonight from you.
See, I think the most important thing is what I just said. Padkar, samajhkar, niveshkar is something that is very important, because without understanding, if you put in your money, it is going to go for a toss, because that is where you will come in at the last and you will be a catalyst for people to make money. Investors and traders should always understand there is no shortcuts to life. There are no freebies. These are some hard words which really hurt, but they are the ultimate truth. So, all investors should really learn technical analysis, learn analysis first, and have a base for investing. Equity is the only asset class which has outperformed any asset class. Even the real estate asset class has given a return of average 11.5% CAGR for the last 40 years. Equity has given a CAGR of 16.5 for the last 40 years. So there is a huge kind of appreciation which you would get in equity. Today, only 3% of Indian population invests in equity. Just imagine, from 3 to 6, double the money is going to come over a period of years. We just saw a short glimpse in the COVID era, where we had to work from home. People were attracted towards the stock market, but they lost their money just because they were not educated. And many of you people who are hearing this right now would have gone through this pain process of losing money. But that's fine. You should understand that if you have taken a small loss, and life is pretty big, you can ensure you learn and then earn.
Right, right. Awesome, awesome. That's brilliantly put, sir. Thank you so much for that. So before we leave, I also want to ask you to request you to please allow us to host you one more time so that we can learn more from you. 1 hour is just not enough to learn from you, sir.
Vishu, it was really wonderful, and we can always have one more podcast. Even I enjoyed this podcast. Absolutely enjoyed. It was fun.
Thank you so much, sir. And of course, our beautiful audience tonight, thank you so much for listening to us. We still have over 350 people listening to us. All kudos to your, your kindness, your graciousness that you so humbly allowed us to host you and shared all your experiences with, such selflessly. So thank you so much once again, sir. I look forward to hearing from you again. And
My pleasure.
everybody have a really profitable day tomorrow and a really good night now. Thank you again, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Good night.